And welcome to the podcast, guys. I am Nando.
And I am Roberto.
So before we get into the show for today, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. We're just again beginning our venture with the podcast guys. We are on Rumble at the podcast guys _ We are on Instagram and TikTok at the podcast guys _ Follow us there. Check us out. And here we go with today's topic. And today's topic is why men decide to stay single.
So, yeah, I think more and more guys nowadays are kind of giving up on just the general idea of marriage, commitment, chasing after women, chasing after dating. It's not everybody, not every guy, but more and more guys are kind of, if you want to say, for lack of a better term, choosing their own peace and sanity and deciding to take the single route and not really chase relationships. So today we're going to go over this topic and we'll cover it from a few different angles. So you want to start us off?
Absolutely. And the reason why many men, not just men, many men are deciding to stay single is because they decide to stay single by choice. Now think about it. The freedom that you get when you wake up in the morning and you don't have any headaches as far as a significant other, someone that you're in a relationship with. You get to go about your business, about your day in, day out, just the way you want it to be. And there's something deep down that's peaceful about it, that you just come to a kind of like a...
I think especially any guys that have had previous bad experiences, like you've dated multiple women where you've dealt with that hassle, and those guys especially are going to get to a point, where, maybe if you're 18, 19, 20-year-old kid and you're exploring for the first time, you're not going to really see that way. But if you're like, later in life, I'm talking late 20s, early mid 30s, you're going to reach a point where if you have bad experiences, especially where you're just going to say to yourself, you know what, you definitely kind of contrast between like those crazy times and all the hassle and headache and emotions, arguments, all that stuff, dealing with all that. And then like when you go through a period of like peace in your life, you're just like, you're always going to choose that. I think as guys, that's something that's unique to us, is that we would prefer peace over any of that stuff.
That's what I was going to say. You come to your own thoughts, your own peace. You can figure out what you're going to do for yourself into the future without having anything to worry about getting in the way. And let's face it, I know there's going to be some hate on this, but
how dare you?
Women are a distraction. Let's face it. Women are a distraction. They'll get in the way. And there's things that you want to accomplish in life that sometimes with women involved, you won't be able to accomplish them.
The moment you get involved with a woman, or you get into, whether it's a relationship, a serious one or not, from that point forward, your life is going to kind of by default veer off the path you were originally on, right? There's no way to avoid it. Like if you were focusing on something and you had something going on in your life, it's literally impossible to have the same 100% focus on whatever that thing was: work, school, business, a project, hobbies, what have you, right? Once you get involved in a relationship, like by default, you're gonna kind of veer off that path, and you're gonna have to put some focus and energy on the relationship. And again, this is gonna depend on the person, but generally speaking, especially if you get involved with the wrong person, and it could really, like you said, be a distraction, and it could kind of veer you off your goal. So that's why I think guys should really focus more on themselves, their own finances, getting in physical shape, getting to a point in their life where they've kind of like hit their accolades before they even bother putting too much energy into relationships.
The thing is that, of course, you want to make sure you're dating. We're not saying here guys don't want to date, but it's that point where you're with that girl that you want to think twice about seeing if you want to take the relationship to the next level. There's guys that are reluctant to take the relationship to the next level. And the reason is because they're sacrificing autonomy and independence. I mean, when you're in a relationship, the course in your life changes, the direction of your life changes, and there's things that you would have done before that you can't do anymore, and that's no fun.
100%. If you don't have all your goals, accomplished, and you haven't really achieved the things like the accolades, the projects, what have you, that are important to you, if you haven't reached a certain point financially, like you said, it could really veer you off. And again, the longer you get involved, the deeper you get into the relationship, it's only going to escalate from there, because what's coming next, right? Engagement, marriage, kids. And again, I think nowadays, especially, you guys have to be extremely careful with, who they do that with, at what point in their life they are, where they are financially before they even think about that.
And the reluctance to take the next steps of dating into a relationship is coming from past betrayal or just personal choice. We have a freedom, and the freedom is to decide whether to date or not date a woman, from a man's perspective, of course. So they can wonder, what's going on with this guy. Women can wonder what's going on with this guy. Why doesn't he want to date me, etc. But the thing is that there's things that guy has experienced, or that he's currently experiencing with that woman at that moment, that he sees that there's signs not to take this to the next level.
And you bring up a good point as well, because what also plays into this is modern dating culture. Maybe guys would be less reluctant to get into like a relationship and chase women if things were different. But nowadays it's a total shit show. So we live in like a hookup culture. Women have raised their standards, to another atmosphere. Women are sleeping around, guys are sleeping around. It's just like it's become such a mess that, like, when you start to really think about how things can be when you get involved in that with that type of a person, it's just like, why even bother, right? Before you even meet a specific person, you already know what you're getting yourself into just based off of the culture, right?
Isn't it just common sense nowadays to think back in the 80s, 90s, how dating, relationships, and marriage are totally different than dating, relationships, and marriage in 2023.
Correct.
There's so much difference. And when you think about the time, it's very little time, even though we're looking back at 30, 40 years ago. But there's such a difference now that it's not the same. Like you said, it's a hookup culture. Nobody we can't talk in absolutes. Most people don't take relationships, marriage, even seriously.
What factors change dating culture? We covered this on previous episodes, right? Mainly it's what? Social media, dating apps, this whole sugar daddy, sugar baby culture. I think women nowadays value freedom over being tied down in a relationship, so they're just kind of doing whatever they want. A lot of women have, not all, but a lot of women have higher body counts. People generally are becoming less and less monogamous. All that is kind of playing into this. So, as guys, we also have our preferences and our standards. So when you start to see women tend to go in that direction, and you know what it is. I mean, at this point, I think most guys understand what it is with the whole, like, sugar babies and girls getting flown out and whatnot. It's not all women, but that's the direction the culture's going in. So
we're going in that direction, and there's no end in sight.
No, it's only going to get worse, I think.
As far as body counts with women, the higher the body count, is that attractive to men? I mean, ladies, you may be wondering if that's attractive to men or not. Not at all. Okay. There's the higher the body count, the less and less opportunity you're going to have with guys. It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, and it's getting to the point where I don't really think women even like care anymore. I think they've been completely like liberated from the whole like, being shamed for how many guys they slept with or like, their dating preferences. I think it's gotten to a point where just women are like, it's a free for all, and they have zero guilt or shame.
Yeah. Some of the ladies watching the video right now, they're going to be like, I don't give a shit about my body count. Mm-hmm. And guys have to understand that women truly don't give a shit about their body count. They're going to do whatever they want, whatever they want.
Exactly. You know, something we didn't mention yet on this episode, you know, cheating. It's another one. I think any guy that's been in previous situations where you dealt with cheating and that's psychopathy, you're not going to want to deal with that. You know what I mean? And it's pretty crazy because I think some women like are very good at hiding it. I think women generally are better at hiding it than guys are. And then you have women that are just obviously like, you know, you'll know, like, you know, I'm not dating this because like she's just bad news, like party animal, whatever the case is, promiscuous type. But all types of women cheat, you know. I think there's a lot of guys that may be watching this now that be like, oh, my girl would never do that, you know. If she did, you probably will never find out.
They can believe that, but they don't know because
women are very slick when it comes to that.
They're hiding it very well, and they'll keep that with them until they're 6 feet under. Unfortunately, you know, they won't let that go, and they'll hold it tight no matter what, because that's something that'll ruin them. You know, once somebody finds out that
the qualities that we look for as guys are becoming harder and harder to find. I think that's a simple way to kind of explain this topic of this episode, is that I think guys, generally speaking, guys look for the same stuff, right? Everybody has their own type and what have you, but I think generally speaking, when it comes to like finding a woman that's like loyal, doesn't have a high body count, is a little bit more like on the family oriented side. Go find a woman nowadays that cooks, cleans, wants to be a stay-at-home wife and take care of the kid. It's becoming less and less of a thing.
It's rare.
It's very rare. You know, rare. Those traditional values are a thing of the past. You know, and there are women that are still, you know, that way. That are still traditional. But you have to look for those type of women. You know, we could probably do an episode on that alone. I mean, I guess maybe like more like religious women tend to be a little bit more on the traditional side for sure.
Crazy thing is that it's rare now when it used to be the norm. Yeah. That used to be the way of life.
Yeah.
Now it's just kind of like it's a free for all. Everything's just happening. It is what it is. Doesn't matter. They don't care. These ladies don't care. Most of them don't care. The majority don't care.
And now also, if you're, again, it's going to depend on your age, but like if you're in your 30s, you're going to be now in a time where you're going to see a lot of women that are becoming single moms or just recently became single moms or they're recently divorced or what have you. So again, you know, I think generally speaking, guys are okay with like hooking up with women like that, but do you really want to pursue that or get committed? Not really.
Yeah, guys will have fun. Guys will have fun with women that are single moms and, you know, see how far they can go with that, but single moms won't be taken seriously.
How dare you?
Yeah, I mean,
single moms out there, it is what it is.
What guy wants to have the responsibility of another man's kid? You know, it's that guy's responsibility. So
crazy thing is that some of these ladies expect some of these men to take the responsibility of the kids that aren't theirs just because they're with them. Kind of nuts to me.
I know you see it all the time. You know, single moms tend to, not all of them, but a lot of them will jump right back into the dating game and try to find the next sucker to, you know, take care of them financially. So I just don't see how that's a good idea for any guy to do something like that. I think guys only do that out of like desperation, or if they're like much, much older, they might settle for that. But generally speaking, guys should avoid that like the plague, I think.
Guys out there, don't be suckers to that. Don't be suckers to the single mom. You should not be taking care of somebody else's kid. Plain and simple. Ladies out there that are single mom, it hurts, but how can you expect a guy that's not the father of your children to take care of your children? Makes no sense. You want a guy to take care of your children, we get that, but it should be the father of those children. So you should have found a way to make it work with the father of those children to be able to have a father for the kids. Again,
yeah, exactly. You don't want to be dating a woman where like the ex is still lingering around. They might still have some type of drama. You know, throw the kids into the mix and then babysitter. It's like, you know, you're taking on more than you have to at that point. It's one thing if it's your own kid, but to take care of or be not even take care of, to be even be involved with somebody else's kids, I think I would advise against that.
We get it too. There is an exception. There's guys out there that screw up, and those ladies decide not to be with those men. But think about it. Most of the divorces are initiated by women, about 70 to 80%, maybe more than 80% at this point. So who's giving up on relationships quicker? It's women. Men are mostly trying to keep them together. So most women out there should blame themselves for not having a father for their children.
Yeah, 100%.
So before we go further, guys, once again, make sure you subscribe to the channel, Podcast Guys on YouTube. We're on Rubble, the Podcast Guys _, and we are on Instagram and TikTok, also the Podcast Guys _. Follow us, support the channel. We're trying to do good here. We're trying to spread a good message. Of course, there's going to be many out there offended. Of course, we see women out there versus the guys out there offended, but we're trying to do good here. We're taking the heat. We get it. It's not easy to take and swallow this pill, but do you want to hear the truth or not? That's what we're here to do. Very few podcasts out there will tell you the truth. There are some, but the podcast guys are here to tell you that truth. So, without further ado, let's go further on why many guys will stay single. And this is not directly towards women in particular, but many men just want to focus on their goals, and that's it. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, if a guy's in the process, like let's just say he's a blue collar worker and he's trying to become an electrician, and he has to do that for 4 years, and then be an apprentice and then move on to another level. You're trying to achieve something. You're trying to achieve a certain career in your life to provide for yourself financially, and something like that can take X amount of years. College is another example. Maybe somebody's opening and starting a business. There's a million different ways this could go, but it can take years to really get where you need to be, and then you're working in that particular field, saving money, putting money aside, and building yourself up. I think nowadays, especially with how the economy is, with inflation, it's harder than ever to I think a lot of people are struggling now. So as a guy, you have to get yourself right financially before you step into a relationship, and even then, you have to be careful who you choose as a guy. You have to really be careful with who you date, because nowadays there's no telling. Like, there's so many different ways you can get screwed over. So
a guy focusing on his goals goes hand in hand with building financial security before getting into a serious relationship. So it does go hand in hand, but again, you want to watch out carefully who you're going to get into a serious relationship with, because that may not be the right person to do so. So with the things that are going on now in society, in our culture, in relationships, you really want to be careful with who you get involved with. Again, most women are hardwired the same. So we can't necessarily predict, well, this woman's going to be good, this woman not so sure.
100%. And sometimes relationships start out good and they end poorly. That's the messed up part about it, is that it may start off fine. The first year or two. I mean, every relationship goes through that honeymoon phase where things are great. But like you said, women generally are hardwired the same. So whether you're dealing with this type of woman or that type, regardless of her education level, where she works, what town she's from, what state she's from, the hardwiring is the same. So once you have a certain level of experience with women, a certain history with women, you kind of get the big picture after a while.
Exactly.
What's coming, right?
And what I think is bullshit is this sometimes saying that women say, or people say in general, oh, you chose the wrong girl. Well, how did you know that girl was going to screw you over? I mean, some women give you signs, but there's some women out there that are total saints. Then you get involved with them, you get into a serious relationship or marriage, and it's a complete 180. How would you have known that before?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Oh no, you could definitely get deceived with that. Yeah, for sure.
And that goes into the next thing here. Relationships can be too much drama. The relationships can be too much drama. Men don't want to deal with drama. That's the last thing guys want to deal with is drama.
There's always a certain level of drama with relationships. Some less, some more. I mean, if I look back at every short-term, long-term relationship I've had in the past, the amount of drama in my life always increased by like minimum 30%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even in the best case scenario, your level of drama that just comes with the territory of the women in general. Even if you're just saying them like casually, women tend to be a little bit more emotional, and I think honestly speaking, women need that emotional like stimulation. Like sometimes women will just like kind of like argue with you for no reason, or like she'll be fine one minute and she's like pissed off another one, and guys were kind of more like level-headed, or we're angry, like, or you know what I'm saying. Women will bring that drama into your life because to them it's almost like a need. So yeah, that comes along with it as well, unfortunately.
You know where men deal with drama, and it makes sense for them to deal with drama? When they're out at work, when they're out busting their ass, trying to provide for you and potentially a family. They already deal with drama. They don't want to come home and deal with more drama.
Yeah.
They might as well stay single. It only makes sense for them to stay single. Why am I going to go out and, if I'm a plumber, work on plumbing or electrician, builder, whatever the career is, go out there, deal with the boss, deal with this drama, that headache, this fight, trying to get this job done, and then come home to another drama? No guy wants to deal with this. Ladies, understand that. No guy wants to deal with your crap.
And, something worth mentioning as well, it's like we're not really held back kind of like by our age. Like whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, there's never really a point where it's like, oh, well, I can't date anymore because I'm too old. Or, for women, it's completely different because, they have to ideally have kids by a certain age due to their biology, and they don't want to have a high-risk pregnancy, so on and so forth. And, of course, like we went over a bunch of times, women tend to hit a wall where they start to become less and less attractive depending on their age, weight, how they keep themselves together. Assuming as long as you're not like a bum, like overweight, lazy, like, I'm not talking about guys that just like let themselves go when they're 50 years old and they're like, oh, well, I can still date because Rob said so. No, but like, assuming you work out and you keep yourself together and you work hard, you go with your money. I really don't see myself having an issue at 40 or 50. At age, I think for guys it's irrelevant.
Well, if you're taking care of yourself, you got your money on point, you have a little bit of status, you're assertive, you're confident, and you have all these other qualities that women look for in a guy, then you can be picky and choosy on who you want to date. And that's another reason why men stay single, because they decide to be picky, choosy. They make sure that that woman is the best fit for them. But the guys out there that don't have those qualities, that don't have the money, that don't have the status, that aren't fit, that smoke, drink, probably live in their mom's basement eating desserts and playing video games, those are the guys that can't afford to be picky. But the guys that stay in shape, that take care of their hygiene, their hair, they really take care of their nutrition, they eat right, they sleep well, they bring a lot of money back, they have a certain amount of social status, those guys can afford to be picky, which is why some guys can stay single and wait for the best fit.
I think everybody knows at least one 30-year-old woman that's dating a 50-year-old plus guy. At least one, if not multiple. I don't know of a single 30-year-old guy that's dating a 50-year-old woman. I can't think of a single one. You know what I'm saying? And it's for a reason, because nobody wants to, like, after a certain age, women hate hearing this. After a certain age, it's just you no longer, just like women don't even look in the general direction of guys that are broke or average, so on and so forth. Guys don't look at women that are like 40 plus years old as like some kind of dating material. You're looking at, I would say, 35 or younger probably. south of 35, right? Like
Probably
35 is like the cutoff.
likely south of 30. Once you hit 30, my gosh, it's going downhill from there.
Not to say that there isn't MILFs and like good-looking older women. There definitely are. But we're talking like generally speaking, I don't know of any like younger guys that are dating like old women, unless it's like some casual like MILF type of a situation or something like that. But
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There are beautiful women over 30, over 35, but that's an exception. The focus that men have are on the girls in their prime, and those women in their prime are between the ages of about 21 to 25. Once you go to 26, 27, you're okay. 28, 29, now you're hitting 30, and it's kind of going downhill from there. Because with women, there's a timetable. For guys, they hit their prime in their mid-30s to late 30s. And guys have all the time in the world. The thing is that women have this pressure to really settle down by the time, and have, marriage and kids and all that by the time they hit 30 years old. It's not as easy nowadays. It's not as easy because when you're at that point, when you're in your 30s, for ladies out there, and you're single, many guys are going to be wondering, there's an issue with this woman.
How dare you?
Don't come at me for that. That's just the way guys are going to think. And they're going to target the younger women because, hey, once women are hitting 30, 35, 40, we've heard before in some other podcasts, some other YouTube channels, sexual market value is going down.
And again, even with the age put aside, right? Let's just say, you're talking about a 35-year-old woman. It's not even like sometimes the age itself. It's just the fact that by that age, they already have a lot of baggage, bunch of exes. They've experienced a lot already. And a lot of these women nowadays like traveled all over the world. So it's like you step into a relationship with a woman like that and like, what are you going to really do with her?
They might have kids also.
I think we all know women that travel a lot and they're always in different countries, stuff like that. And like, if she's a high body count, she's already traveled the world 2 times and stayed in all the fancy places and restaurants and whatnot. What are you gonna exactly do with a woman like that? Take her to Disney World or something like she's already been everywhere. She's already been to all the restaurants. She's already dated all different types of guys, slept with multiple guys. So again, like that's where we are nowadays. So
this is going to hurt, but ladies, when you're hitting 30 and you haven't locked down a guy for a relationship, doesn't have to be serious, but for at least a relationship or a serious relationship or a marriage, ladies, at that point, game over. It's game over. It's going to be really tough. It's possible, but it's going to be really tough. Good luck.
And again,
good luck.
And
Good
that's
luck.
where the what's the saying, the C's part or the
That's the saying.
that's where I don't know. I just made that up.
I don't know the saying. So
The crossroads. That's what I was looking for. At 35, women are reaching their wall. 35 for guys, I think, is an amazing age. 35 to like 40 as a guy, I think that's when you're probably going to be in like your best form financially, physically. You're no longer a kid. You're not an old man. You're an adult. And I think your sexual market value, they say peaks, right? 35 to 40 for guys. For women, it peaks somewhere in their early 20s. So I think for guys, any guys that are watching that are like maybe like in their 20s or something like that, and you feel like you don't have your life figured out, don't worry about it at all. You still got plenty of time. But like you said, if you're a woman that's 35 and you're still planning on dating around for the next 5 years, you're running out of time.
yeah. So to conclude, because we're almost wrapping up here, ladies, understand this. Understand what we just talked about for the last 29 minutes, half hour, and why guys prefer to stay single. And if you want to change that, you better act quickly and you better do it with the right steps. It can be done, but once you're hitting 30 and then you hit 35, 40, it's downhill from there.